You're listening to the Ordinary Joe's podcast with Joe D and Eric B. The Ordinary Joe's podcast.
All right, a week before Super Bowl, and we are going to talk about favorite, or not favorite, but where we're going to plan to go after this whole pandemic, after the COVID-19 is gone, and we're ready to go on vacation, and talk about places that we've been, and talk about places that we want to go to. Right? I know you've been to a lot of places, and I definitely want to pick your brain on a couple places that you've been, and talk about the places I've been and where I want to go. Cool?
It's a lot.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
It's been a long year. I want to get out.
I know, right? God, it's only 2021. Let's go ahead and get this going. I'm Eric B.
And I'm Joe D. And we are the
Ordinary Joes. All right. Got that right.
Yeah.
It's the Snapple. Throwing shout out to the Snapples. All right, Joe.
Sugar rush.
Let's talk about places. I got three categories that I wrote down. I got places that I want to visit, where I want to just go and just indulge on food. Places that I want to go to, just enjoy, have fun, and places I want to go to where I just want to go there and relax and not have to think about anything. I'll go ahead and start it off with you, man. When this is all over, where's your one place that you want to go to?
So the one place that I want to go to, and this is a place I've wanted to go to for a while. A few years back, my wife and mother-in-law and brother-in-law went, and I missed that trip, and I was suffering from FOMO, fear of missing out. It was like, even till today, I don't even want to look at pictures, but it's Italy.
Oh, wow.
Italy, yeah. Nice. I have, I don't know, just growing up in New York, I have like a love for Italian culture because I grew up in Staten Island, so love the food, the people, and just since I can remember, that's one place that's been on my bucket list, and I don't know if it'll be right after, the pandemic, but my first trip abroad, for sure is going to be Italy. Just the history there, Rome, and just, the cathedral and all that stuff. I think it's really interesting, and the food's not bad either. I mean, it's probably my favorite food. You can't go wrong with cheese and meats and wine. I mean, bread. I may never come back.
I was going to ask you, you're religious, so when you go to Italy, are you planning to try to visit the Vatican?
Yeah, definitely. Nice. Definitely want to do the Vatican. I guess for if you're Catholic, that's kind of like Mecca in a way. So, and I don't see myself. I would really love to go to, like, say, the Middle East, to go to Jerusalem and those type of places, but it may not be the safest place to go right now. So I think Vatican is probably the next best thing. The history there of the religion and things like that. Even if you're not, a religious person, I think it's like a cool place to go visit. It's its own city, right? I mean, it's a city within the country. So that for sure. Italy is I can't wait.
I'll tell you right now, man, Vatican, I want to go to Italy. I mean, I totally agree with you about checking that place out, and it's on a long bucket list. It's not like on the top of my list, but if I did go, I definitely want to go see, parts of Italy, Naples, where they supposedly have some good food, Sicily, where all the gangsters supposedly come from, right? I don't know if I'd go to the Vatican, man. I think I'd be a little freaked out.
Really?
I mean, all that scary shit movies that we watch that has to deal with, like, Catholicism versus the devil, and it all goes back to the Vatican. I'm like,
Da Vinci Code.
Da Vinci Code, exactly. Like, oh no, it'll be my luck that I go there, and that same day that I'm there, some shit's going down. I'm like, oh great, some kid sold me a rosary, and now I got to bring this rosary home, like in that movie Stigmata. I'm like, great.
Stigmata, that was a good one.
But yeah, man, I agree with you. I like Italy, man. Italy is definitely cool. There's a lot of culture in Italy. There's a lot of, I want to see, I really want to hear that Italian accent that, you hear here, but when you're there, it's like more authentic. And it's funny because I have this Italian coworker who was raised in America, but he tells me that, dude, when you go to like Naples and Sicily, it's kind of like going to California and New York. The accents are so different.
Oh, really?
I'm like, really? He goes, you can hear the Italian, but it's like you can tell what regions people are from in Italy. And I'm like, oh, Oh,
that's interesting.
Yeah. I never. I guess that's how it is outside of the United States, right? I mean, you can tell if you're from the South, and you can tell if you're from the East. So that's a pretty cool spot, man.
And some gelato. I definitely need to try some. I think I'm just gonna do a gelato crawl.
Yeah,
and try it in every city that I go to.
Yeah.
No, just for scientific purposes.
Yeah. That and some espresso. Well, you might as well have. Is Italy known for the espresso? Or is that France?
I think it's Italy.
Italy? Okay,
I think it's Italy. Yeah, I want to say it is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know because they also like it in Cuba.
Yeah. I guess it's everywhere now. I mean, there's a lot of places I want to go to. I mean, it's funny because when I brought this up to a couple of coworkers that this is what we're talking about, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're going to Hawaii." I'm like, "No, dude. I wrote on the list that I wrote today. Hawaii is played out for me, and the only reason why." Got love for Hawaii, you guys that lives in Hawaii. Not that I don't want to go visit you guys, but it's just like every time we go there, it's the same thing that we do, right? We know it's kind of an extension of here. We know we're going to go. We know where we're going to eat. We know we're going to hang out by the beach. So it's kind of like an expensive stay-at-home vacation for me, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to go someplace I've never been before, someplace that I've never seen, someplace where like, man, I'm going to get lost. And two places that came in mind was Vietnam and Thailand. And the only reason why is because of the food. I love pho. And, for you guys who don't know what pho is, the noodles, the noodles with the meat, whatever you guys can get with, I want to try authentic pho. And, everyone always tells me you haven't tried authentic pho till you've been to Vietnam. Right. And I want to try authentic pho. I want to see what that's like. Yeah. And even in Thailand, man, it's like the Thai food that we eat here, it's good, but I want to see what it's like there, the authentic food. And I'm a big street foodie guy, man. I mean, like, I heard Thailand and Vietnam are the two places to go to if you want street food. That's what I want to try.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds amazing. Now, are you a adventurous eater? Because I've seen a lot of these like documentaries about Asian street food, and there's some places where they have some stuff that's a little interesting that we won't necessarily find here. Maybe some like fried scorpion or something like that. Like, do you kind of adventure into that area at all? I'm
gonna tell you a funny story. I'm gonna answer your question, and this is gonna answer your question. Okay. We went to Japan, and before we went to Japan, I was watching all these YouTube videos about this place that we're going to. It's called Tsukiji Market. And everybody was talking about, oh, you got to try the uni. And, if you guys don't know what uni is, sea urchin kind of thing, right? And he's like, you got to try this. It's really good. So we get to Japan. That's the first place I got to make that beeline to that place that everyone's saying to go to. I got the little sea urchin. I'm like, all right, I have it on my YouTube channel. You guys just see the look on my face. I'm like showing everybody, all right, here it is. I'm going to try the sea urchin. I put it in my mouth and I'm like, I spit it back out. And I'm like, this is really fishy. So to answer your question, yes, I'm adventurous. Yes, I will try something once, but I probably won't swallow it.
I gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, like what they have in Vietnam and Thailand, like, the crickets, the grasshoppers. Mm-hmm. I'll try that if it's really, I want to say if it's cooked, it's like deep fried and all that. Yeah. And again, I'll try one, see what it's like. And again,
like medium well grasshopper.
No, it's gonna have to be well done grasshopper. Well done. And I'm willing to try. I tried frogs before, so I don't mind trying a frog again. And I know they have fried frogs out there or fried frog legs out in that region. But yeah, the only thing I'm not gonna try to eat is your cats and dogs. And I apologize if you guys don't eat that. And I'm being stereotypical, but there is rumors and there is places where they do eat cats and dogs. Yeah, so that's the only thing I won't try is a cat and dog.
Yeah, same here. No judgment. Just that's not what I'm gonna do.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, I definitely want to try, like I said, Bangkok and Vietnam. Those are the places that I want to go to. Those are the places where I heard the food is amazing. And those are like the Asian countries, that I want to check out when this is all lifted.
I hear Bangkok is supposed to be like a really fun place too.
Yes.
Along with the food, and that's also on my bucket list.
Yes.
I don't want any hangover experiences. Hangover movie.
That's another podcast on its own. I mean, I guess the best way to do that is don't get drunk. I mean, if you get drunk and you get, shit faced the way they did, man, I mean, Bangkok is known for ladyboys. So,
that's true. You
got to be careful. Exactly.
But, I'm with you. I wouldn't say I'm a totally adventurous eater, but I'll try something, at least once. But I'm always like nervous if I'm on vacation about trying something a little out there for me, because I don't want to end up getting like, sick or stomach pains or something on vacation. So I always kind of, I'm like you. I gotta look at it and analyze it. Is this fully cooked through? All right, yeah, okay, I'll try that.
This is me. I don't know if you can relate the same. If I got food in my hand, I look at it, I'm gonna go, yeah, it smells all right. Yeah. Okay, and I'll probably do the whole taking the tongue. If you guys are watching or if you guys are listening, I would take my tongue, and I would lick it just a little bit to see if there's a little flavor. And if I don't like it, whoever's next to me, you're the one eating it. You sorry? Yes, I did say I'll lick it, and
No, I am not eating what you just licked.
Yeah, but we got to be one of those guys where it's like taking a shot. Like, just put it in your mouth and swallow it. But that uni, that sea urchin in Japan, man, there was just some fishy. I have this bad thing when it comes to fishy flavors, and oh god.
Same here.
Oh god.
So is it safe to say you don't like patis?
No, that's funny. Patis I can eat, but it has to be diluted in it has to be in rice, or it has to be in some kind of soup. That's okay, but on its own, oh man, no, that's high blood pressure ready to happen right there.
And what is that exactly for people that don't know? Is that fish shrimp paste?
It's different in different regions, right? So in Philippines, it's fish sauce. And shrimp paste, I think that's what we use for another
dish.
Another dish, yeah. It's the peanut butter dish with the oxtails. That's what we use for shrimp paste.
Kare.
Oh, yeah, I keep forgetting Joe's Filipino, man.
I'm
right.
officially
He's
part Filipino now.
That's right. Keep forgetting that, man.
I just need to learn the language. That's it.
Joe already knows when they're talking about him. So he's already, yeah. Just listen for the word calbo.
Yeah.
Calbo. Yeah, that's bald-headed.
Or Josep.
Josep.
I'll try to slip that one in there really quick. I'm like, I heard the Sep. They're talking about me.
Talking about Calbo and Josep. Sounds the same.
Oh, man. Actually, the Philippines is a place, too. Speaking of places, like, on my bucket list, but the one thing that's kind of holding me back is that 16-hour flight. Or 14-hour, whatever it is. I know it's long. And, I'm a big guy. I don't know, even with getting up and walking around the plane, I don't know that my back can take that long of a flight. So that's really the only thing that's holding me back from going. But that definitely is, a place I want to go to. And I'll probably try to knock out as many places on that side of the world as I can. Maybe take like a month off or something like that, if my boss is watching.
Here you go. Philippine journey. Man, that's definitely a place that I want to visit. I'm from the Philippines. Left there when I was 2 and never went back ever since.
Really?
Never went back. And the food that I see that people post is just amazing. I definitely want to try it. Again, same thing goes on. I'll definitely try everything twice. The one thing that I won't try, and I don't know if you tried, but it's balot. Have you tried balot?
I have.
Do you like it?
I do not.
Actually, 2 things: balot and the dinuguan. The dinuguan is that pig blood, the black.
I've tried that.
Black
as well.
chocolate. Do you like it?
Chocolate meat. That one, yeah. I've actually had that on a few occasions. The first time I tried it, I wasn't told what it was. They were like, "Oh, we call this chocolate meat." I'm like, "Okay." And like we said, I was like, "I'll try anything once." And I knew something was up because as I'm eating it, I see all the Snickers and look, he's eating it.
He likes it.
And then then they told me what it was, and I was like, great. But Puerto Rico, they have something, I guess, similar. It's morcilla, or which is like a blood sausage, but it's kind of,
I heard of that, yeah.
Diniguan, but in a sausage.
Yeah, I heard of that.
And so it wasn't necessarily anything weird to me. It's very rich, I guess is the best way I can describe it. Really like salty. So now that I know what it is,
yeah,
I won't. I'll try some maybe just to be polite, but I won't run to it and pile it on the plate. No, not at all.
not ragging on my culture, man. Not ragging on my culture at all. But there's something about a dish that's black that just doesn't appetize me at all.
Yeah.
Ever since I was a kid, they were like, same thing they did to you. Oh, try this. You're going to like it. I'm just looking at it. I'm like, it's black. What's in it that makes it black? And then, of course, they tell you, oh, the pig blood. Oh, sorry. Lost me at pig blood. Yep. My dad tried to do the whole thing. When you eat a steak and you eat it rare, there's blood on there too. I'm like, but a steak is not black. You put steak in a black sauce, then I'm not going to eat it. Yeah. So Philippines, I'm definitely adventurous, but those two things I won't eat. There's probably a couple more that I just don't remember. But I'm willing to try everything once or twice in the Philippines, man. I mean, that's definitely a bucket list of mine. And I totally agree with you on the flight. 16 hours, I believe. Something 16 hours,
yeah. Yeah, I've heard 16. I've heard 14. So
well, 14, I think, is 14 is if you. A lot of people I know takes a flight to Japan, which is a 12-hour flight, and then from Japan to the Philippines, which is another 4-hour flight. So I think it still adds up to the same. I just have this fear of like freaking being in the air that long. It's like.
Yeah, same here. I get claustrophobic.
Yeah.
After a while, like I said, even standing up and moving around, I don't think it would help. I feel like I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
So that's a toughie. I might have to like sedate myself, drink some NyQuil before I get on here. But just real quickly, the balut, I gotta say, it didn't taste bad. It actually, to me, tasted like chicken soup.
Okay.
The whole thing is just how it looks and the texture and knowing what it is you're eating. Because I actually had it at Lucky Chances here in
wow, they sell that there.
Yeah, was that Colma? Daily City.
Yeah, Colma.
I never know. Colma.
Borderline.
Right. And so they brought it out to me, and I at that point I knew what it was. I had seen it on Fear Factor, so I already knew what balut was. And they brought it out, and there's like a table, like a long table filled with a family next to us, a party or something, and they're a Filipino family, and they're all looking. Right, they see it come out, and they could tell that it's my first time, so they're all just like smiling and like, I'm like, oh great, now I got a crowd. So I broke it up.
They're all like this in front of Joe.
Yeah,
do it.
Seriously. And so I cracked it open a little bit, and I'm looking at it, and the people I were with, they were like, don't look at it, just go for it, just eat it. If you look at it, it's gonna stop you from wanting to try it. So I went for it. And like I said, it would actually taste like chicken soup. The flavor is good, but it's just too much going on visually and texturally that I was just like, no. I didn't eat the whole thing. I had probably about a third of it, and I was exactly.
For you guys who don't know what we just mentioned, dinuguan is a famous Filipino dish that's pig intestines with pig fat and pig blood. So when they cook it, it's black. I mean, the color is black. So, some people, it's a delicacy in the Philippines. People love that. You cook it on special occasions. People love that. And balut, it's a full-grown duck fetus. Is it duck or chicken? No, chicken fetus.
I think traditionally it's duck.
Yeah.
Right, but I think the one I had was chicken.
Yeah,
or maybe it was duck and it just tasted like chicken. Could be that too.
So just imagine you having an egg. It's a hard-boiled egg from what you know it is. As soon as you open it, you see a full fetus in there that's dead. You see the beak, you see the feathers, and again, that's a Filipino street food. Yeah, that's terrible. I see people. There's different ways people eat it. It's a trip because I see people who. They'll take the egg and they'll crack the top open and they'll suck the juice out and then open it some more, then put the whole thing in their mouth. I've seen some people, they just go all for, put everything in. And I even seen people who dips it in vinegar. And I'm like, how can you keep eating that? No, yeah. I mean, there's different ways to eat it, man. But Philippines is definitely a place that I want to visit just for food. I do still have family out there, which is cool. And I just want to check it out. I just want to check out, that's where my history is. That's where my ancestors are from. And I want to see where I was born and where I grew up for 2 years. So, and, definitely try the food.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I'm definitely with you.
There's a lot of places in Asia that I want to visit. Like my list of food, it's funny because my list for food, Vietnam, Thailand, China, Japan, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, and the Philippines. Those are the places I want to go to and just try food. And just because it's so different out there and it's not anything like, if I go to New York, I want to try the pizza. I want to try the, the different things. But, you're not going to find the same street food in New York as you will in like Japan and China, right? So it's like I definitely want to go check out what it is in China and Japan.
And I always tell people to New York, and I mean I could be wrong now. I haven't lived there in 10 years, but it's never really been known as a place for food necessarily.
Yeah.
You hear about the pizza, about the delis, Cat's Deli and stuff like that. But New York, you're really there more for the city and the experience of being in the city and everything to see and do. So when people ask me about food, I'm like, I don't know. Like I had the pizza shop down the block. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't go searching. I wasn't a foodie there. That happened when I came here to San Francisco. And there was just so many different types of restaurants and types of food I never had. So, so New York, I wouldn't say you're really missing too much. I wouldn't make a trip there necessarily for food only.
New York is on my list for places to visit to go have fun. That's on my list for places to have fun. New York is up there. Just because, there's a lot of things to do in New York, like you said. And if I find, if I find a place that's appetizing, then I'll definitely go, hey, let's go try this pizza joint. Let's go try this out. I have this big thing, and I tell my family all the time is whenever we go on vacation, let's try not to go to the same places that we have here in the city. Just because there's a bunch of different places I want to try, definitely the East Coast. There's like White Castle that I want to try, even though a lot of people say it's not good. But I just want to try it. It's like, I just want to see what it's like. And that's just how it is. That's just how I feel about it.
Have you tried, do you know there's White Castle in Vegas now? FYI?
No. I haven't been to Vegas since, God. The Planet Hollywood was still there. The Planet Hollywood. Is it still there?
Yeah.
Or the Aladdin. I think maybe the Aladdin was still there.
Oh, that I don't think is there anymore.
Yeah. That's the last time I went.
There's a White Castle there, so if you happen to find yourself in Vegas and you still got a hankering for White Castle, it's exactly the same. I've tried it, so it's just as bad as New York.
Yeah.
No, I love White Castle. It gets a bad rap.
I'm just, the White Castle that I've tried is just what you buy at the grocery store, put in the microwave, and to me that tastes okay, but I want to see what it's like right off the grill, and what's the whole big deal when it comes to that. But that's for a different adventure. So
yeah. And the reason why I think Vegas is a good place to try it if you're not in New York is because White Castle has always been that great after club. You're drunk. It's the only place open. You can, people that don't know, White Castle burgers or sliders, they come in a little box. So you eat like, I don't know, 50 of them, and you wake up the next day with just carnage around. You're like, what did I do? So that's why you generally hear bad stuff about White Castle, because people overindulge. They eat 10 burgers when they probably shouldn't. Because they're really good and they're steamed.
Yeah.
So the texture is almost like it melts in your mouth. It really is. I said for sure go try it.
Definitely gonna try it. Definitely gonna try it. Another place I want to visit is, and the only reason why I want to visit this place, I want to revisit, is I want to visit Japan again. We did go to Japan a couple years ago, 2017. We went to Japan. Didn't get to stay that much in Tokyo, which I really wanted to stay in Tokyo, but we went with a tour group, and the tour group, we had a 12-day cruise around Japan, which was pretty cool because it's one of those things that if I stayed in Tokyo, I never would have saw the different parts of Japan that I saw. And we saw like an old samurai town, which was kind of cool. We saw a lot of things that I said, man, this is definitely worth to come back. But I want to go back. I want to go without a tour. I want to just go on our own and check out Tokyo, check out, Narita, check out all these places. And again, the food in Japan, man. I mean, when we went to Japan, oh my God. It's funny because, here, quick story I'm going to tell you. We went to Japan. We got there that night, and we were just walking around. We went to, out of all the places, we went to a Denny's. Right? And the Denny's there is totally different than the Denny's out here. But I bet you to them, it's the same thing as we see it out here. But their menu had like chicken katsu. It had udon. It had all the things that you would expect Japan would have. Yeah. Right? So we're sitting there 5 minutes. We're starving. We literally just got to Japan, and we're like, let's go get something to eat. We're waiting. Waitress walks by us 4 or 5 times. And I'm like, the fuck? Are they not coming to us? It's like, oh, fucking Americans are here. Let's not go to them. And then my son was like, Dad, what's this bell on the table? I'm like, I don't know. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Whatever you do, don't touch it. And then we're hearing ding dong, ding dong. We're hearing that throughout the different parts of the restaurant. I'm like, maybe this bell is for us to press to let them know that it's ready. We're ready to eat or to order. So sure enough, my son presses the bell. And as soon as he presses the bell, the lady's right there. Can I take your order? I'm like, oh shit, you got to press the bell.
That's cool.
I kind of like that. Kind of like that. So there's one thing. If you go to Japan, you're going to see a little bell on the table. It's like a little doorknob bell. Ring it when you're ready to order.
I'm going to be drunk. They told me if I ring this, you'll be here.
No, they're going to kick you out. American drunk.
Did you, when you were in Japan, did you, for those of you who don't know, Eric's a bit of I consider you a bit of a Disney
Yep.
expert aficionado. Did you get a chance to go when you were in Japan? And if you did, how was that?
We did. We went to Tokyo Disney. It's what it's called over there. Tokyo Disney. There's 2 parks over there. There's Tokyo Disney and Tokyo Sea, which is kind of like how we have it out here. We have Disneyland and California Adventure in the California side. So 2 different parks. Originally, we were supposed to go to both parks. One day at Disneyland, one day Tokyo Sea, but with the way things were, we only got to go to one. We got to choose. So I said, you know what, let's go to Disneyland, Tokyo Disney, because, that's what we came here for. It's totally different, man. I mean, I love the experience just because you see Japanese people in their environment and their element. Here in the United States, I don't know how it is in Florida, but in Disneyland here in Anaheim, adults cannot wear a costume.
Oh, really?
Kids under the age of 12 are the only ones that can go there walking around wearing their princess outfits. But in Tokyo Disney, everyone is wearing a costume.
Nice.
Which is cool because it's like you get to the castle part and everybody, me, tourists, all the other people, we're asking these people for pictures and they don't even work there. And these people were so nice. They were like, yes, we'll take yes, you can take a picture with us. So we had a picture of like these Japanese ladies dressed up in the 4 different Frozen outfits, the teenagers and then the adults, and they were all dressed up. And man, it was a cool experience just because you don't see that here in the United States. Their bag check-in was a lot faster than the United States. United States, it's like, how it is being in security. They're checking under your hat. They're doing all this, Over there, they were just like, hey, arigato, go ahead and go in. I'm like, dude, I could have easily brought a gun in here and they didn't even, but that was another part of the experience that was cool where in Anaheim, you're just waiting in this long security line and you're like, oh man. So it was definitely recommended to go when you're in Japan. Definitely check out, Tokyo Disney. And it's one of those things you gotta take a whole day for, because the lines there are ridiculously longer than the ones out here.
The rides.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there was a line to get water, the water vending machine. There was a long line to get that, and we were sitting here like, is that the line for the water? Like, damn, let's just go to a restaurant. Sure, you get to the restaurant. There's a long line to get food. So it's just expect yourself to go. We went in October too. So we figured, God, October, there's not going to be a lot of people there, but there was a lot of people there.
I mean, that's Disney. I always hear, I haven't been as many times as you have. I've been to the one here in California, to Disneyland. I think only once. And in Florida, a few times. And man, those lines are they get to you. It's ridiculous.
It's funny you mentioned that because here in Anaheim, where we were season pass holders till Disneyland decides to cancel everybody's passes. When we're in Anaheim, we're like experts. We know what ride we're going to go to. We know what we're going to get a fast pass. There in Tokyo, man, I was the one holding the map. I was the one like, Space Mountain is this direction. And when we're here in Disneyland in California, we always make fun of these people like, oh my God, you guys need a map? What do you guys need a map for? Tourists, you guys are tourists. And here I am in Tokyo running around like, Sleeping Beauty Castle. It's over here. The one thing I can tell you it's the language barrier that's difficult in Japan. And it kind of made me appreciate how when the Japanese comes over here and they're in, the park and we're trying to tell them, or, the park's trying to tell them certain things, but they don't understand a word that they're saying. Right. Yeah. We were those people. We stood in line for Pirates of the Caribbean. We're hearing this loudspeaker all in Japanese. They don't translate in English, right? They're saying it in Japanese. Then we see maybe 5-10 people walk out of the line. And I'm like, wouldn't it be funny if they're saying this ride broke down and we all have to leave?
Yeah.
But the line's still moving. So I'm like, okay, it's still moving. But then we realize they're moving because people are leaving, not because they're getting on the ride. So finally, when we get up there, the lady's telling us in broken English, ride broken, come back later. And I'm like, we stood in this line for 2 hours, man, just for you to tell me the ride's broken. But it was cool. They give us a little pass, one of those passes where you can come back later on. And, so we took advantage of that, which
just
was cool.
An FYI, you tell me your ride's broken, I'm not coming back later.
But see,
I'm done for the day with that ride.
That's the funny thing is we wanted to see what, because it's everything is in Japanese. So we wanted to hear the difference in what are they saying? Jack Sparrow. We wanted to hear that. And that's I could have been like you, be like, dude, we're not getting on this ride. We're going to come back. But we got back on it. And, spoiler alert, there's no difference between the rides here and there. It's the same storyline.
Now, I wanted to ask you, just because, like I said, I've only been to Disneyland, right? That's California. Yes. I've only been to Disneyland once. For someone like me or a newbie, you've got some experience. What is one attraction and one place to eat that, in your opinion, is a must? If you're gonna see anything, you got to see this or you got to do that.
Man, I'm torn, man. It's a good question. Good Disneyland question. And the reason why I'm torn is because there's a ride over on the California Adventure side, which is the newest park of Disneyland, right? And they changed the name to Guardians of the Galaxy. It used to be Tower of Terror. I don't know if you got on that when it was Tower of Terror.
It was Guardians of the Galaxy when I went.
So if you guys have never been, it's a free fall ride. It's a really awesome ride. The line is worth the wait. I love that ride, and that's a ride that always a must when we go to. But I'm not strict. I'm so I'm so fond of the original Disneyland stuff. So, when I Small World, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Haunted Mansion are the three rides that I have to get on when we're ever in Disneyland. And as far as the food place, man, there's only one place that I like to go to, and that's the Plaza Inn Hotel. Well, it's not the hotel. It's just called the Plaza Inn.
Okay.
In the morning, it's a character breakfast, all you can eat. So, all you can eat. And in the evening, it's a fried chicken dinner. And man, you walk down Main Street, you walk down Plaza, you're like, they're cooking the chicken. But of course, just like Disneyland, just like every place you go to, it's a little pricey. But it's worth it. It's worth it. To me, it's worth it. And it's we go there enough to where we're like, I'm not going to do this no more. No, I'm not going to eat here anymore. We like to go eat popcorn in front of the partner statue, the Walt and Mickey statue. We get popcorn there. We sit around and we just people watch.
Nice.
That's where I make fun of people like, oh, look at, he needs a map. He needs a map to find out where he's going to. Come on, man. Who needs a map here?
Look at this guy looking for the bathroom.
Good Lord. But it, man. Go ahead.
No, I just was wondering. I know that alcohol wasn't allowed in Disneyland, but did that change last year or something like that?
No, it's still the same. I think there's a place in California Adventure that you can order alcohol there.
Okay.
And you have to drink it there, though, not in the park, but in that little restaurant. And then Star Wars Land opened up, and the cantina inside Star Wars Land, which is called Planet Batu, they have a little place where you can drink alcohol there. So, yeah, there's alcohol, but you can't just walk around. That's the only thing. You can't walk around the park. You can, I'm gonna get on Magic Mountain. Like Space Mountain, buddy. Space Mountain.
So it's safe to say Star Wars Land is where you'll find all the dads hanging out.
Yeah.
I'll be at the bar.
I'll be at the canteen. Yeah, I'll be at the cantina. I'm having the blue drink. Has a lot of alcohol in it.
Yeah, if we're talking about places to visit for food, there's one place that I want to go to, that's really kind of new for everybody to visit, and that's Cuba.
Wow.
Yeah. Growing up, I've obviously never been to Cuba, but I've tried Cuban food, and the food is amazing. I mean, it's that Caribbean, Spanish food. So like, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, all these places have really good food and similar, but different. And my experience and what I hear from a lot of people is that the food in Cuba is amazing. A lot of pork, a lot of braised meats, rice, beans, you name it. And then there's just something about island food that, and I'm sure you can attest for it, when you have seafood that's literally caught that morning, and then it's on your plate, in the afternoon or that evening, you can't mimic that at all. That's just something you got to try for yourself. So Cuba for sure, and not to mention just the history there. I want to look at all the old cars from the 40s and 50s that are just kind of the staple there. And it's not because that's what they want. It's the only thing they were allowed to have. Those are the only cars they had. So that Cuba for sure is something I want to try out.
Now remind me, are they allowing us to go to Cuba? I mean, I know they did some kind of thing, right? But so we now can go to Cuba, right?
Yeah, from what I understand, we're allowed to go to Cuba. My boy Roger, from after I was with Ro, Woken Up Woke, he went I want to say 2019 it was.
Nice.
And he had a blast, but the funny thing is they don't really have internet. They don't have towers like that, and I think the only Wi-Fi he had was in his hotel room, so he couldn't post anything while he was out there. He had to just take videos and pictures, and then when he got back home, he posted everything. So it was a little nerve-wracking. You don't you don't hear or see from somebody like, was he on vacation?
I'm in Cuba.
Yeah,
is Cuba?
He liked it.
Is Cuba still are they still considered communist?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would say yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't want to give any false information.
But that's a cool place to visit, just because you said you're right. The history of Cuba and when Fidel Castro was running Cuba, he only wanted those vintage cars, and that's all America brought was these vintage cars. So you're seeing an Edsel probably running around there when Edsels were like discontinued in the United States when they first came out. I've never tried Cuban food though, man. I'm trying to think if I've ever tried it. I don't think I've ever tried it.
I would say the one thing that probably most people have tried or heard of is a Cuban sandwich or sandwich cubano.
Okay.
It's usually, and I've had a few good ones here in San Francisco. It's a sandwich that's usually made with ham, usually like a pork shoulder.
Oh wow!
I want to say Swiss cheese and mustard and some other stuff, and then it's kind of pressed like a panini.
Okay.
And really, really good. Really, that's probably that. I would say that's fairly common as far as Cuban food goes, but I would assume that's probably more like Cuban street food.
Yeah. Definitely got to look for a place for that.
Yeah. I know a place. I'll tell you after the pod.
Because I don't think Subway has Cuban sandwiches. I don't think they have that there.
No, you can try to build your own, but it's not gonna be the same.
Oh, can I get a Cuban sandwich? Oh, sorry, we don't have that here. Can I get everything on it, please? One place I want to visit, man, and this has been on my list ever since I heard about it. And I don't know if I brought it up to you working in the hotel, but I want to visit Dubai. That's a place that I want to visit, where I put it on my fun list and my food list, just because there's a lot of fun things to do there in Dubai. But the only thing that's stopping me about Dubai, and this is an aunt of mine who, she worked in Saudi Arabia for a while, right? She worked in Saudi. She was a housekeeper in Saudi. And then she moved to Saipan, which is off the coast of like Malaysia and Guam and all that stuff, right? She told me Dubai, the housekeepers there are Filipinos.
I heard that.
Yeah. So she said if they might accidentally mistaking you as the help is what she called us. The help. I go, really? She goes, yeah, because Dubai, I don't even know what the Arabs over there are so rich that they go to the Philippines and they say, I need 20 people and this is how much I'm going to pay them. And, you know, Filipinos who don't have nothing and you're going to get some money and you're going to do this. Like, yeah, we'll go ahead and go with you to Dubai. That's the only fear that I have. I mean, my English is well enough to where I think they're going to know that, hey, this guy doesn't work for me. But then my chances are like, hey, you speak good English. I need you to translate. Like, dude, I don't speak Tagalog, man. I can't translate to these guys.
What the hell? I barely speak English.
Like, clean. Come on, clean. Heady. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely want to visit that place just because I want to see what it's like. I heard the nightlife is supposed to be like the best place to be. But do we have enough money? That's the thing. Is like, it's going to be, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing I would be concerned with, because you always see the pictures and videos of, you know, guys with solid gold cars and and I'm like, oh, this is my island. But I definitely agree. I want to see that. What's that hotel that's been in like, or building that's been in like a bunch of movies and those man-made islands that form a palm tree and all. Yeah,
the palm tree island. Yeah.
That looks awesome to me.
Yeah, I mean, but again, just like you said, flying to Dubai, man, it's probably as long as going to the Philippines. That's the only downfall about going to all these like Asian countries that I want to visit is the flight's going to take longer than what I wanted. You know, after 5 hours, I'm done.
Yeah.
After, you know, Hawaii is like the furthest I'd like to fly to, and I'll be comfortable with. Anything after that, you know, Japan was a 14-hour flight going, 12-hour flight coming back. And this thing that sucked about going to Japan when I was there, I was sitting next to two strangers because my family was sitting behind me because we were in those rows where it was just the row of three.
Right.
So I got stuck sitting next to these two strangers. And I'm like, and I had the window seat. So if I had to get up, I had to like, excuse me. Arigato.
That sounds like torture.
But it's funny because it's funny. We flew on ANA, which is like Asian something. It's the top class Japan Airlines to fly in, right? They served dinner, and the dinner was like this sushi bento box, which was like off the hook. It was really good. And, you know, they give you this wipe before they serve dinner. So you got to wipe your hands with this warm wipe, which was like, I was like, wow. And that's how it is in all of Japan. All the restaurants, they make you wipe your hands first. I was eating this plate like there was no tomorrow. I was eating like I was going to die on this plane crash, right? I look over, I see the guy next to me. He's not touching his sashimi. He's not eating his soup. He's only eating like little parts of this and that. And I'm like, do I ask him if I can have his sashimi? Excuse me, sir. Okay. If you're not going to finish that, I'll be more than happy to finish that for you.
Did you ask him?
No, because I started thinking like maybe he thinks this is crap. Maybe he thinks this is not, you know, like airplane sashimi. Who eats this?
Yeah.
This guy does next to me. He's like taking his bowl. He's like, he's licking his bowl. It's like, dude, come on, just ask for another one.
You waiting for him to fall asleep and you're like sneaking pieces off his plate.
But yeah, but the food was good, man. The food was good on that airline. I would definitely say if you're going to go any place international, I don't know if your family did that when they flew to Italy. I would say don't be cheap on the flight. And the only reason why is, like you said, 14 hours to go anywhere is a long time. I want to be as comfortable as I can for those 14 hours. Even though we flew coach, it was still comfortable. The chairs was wide to where I had enough elbow room. The guy, me and him was sharing the armrest, and we weren't hitting each other. That's how wide it was. So yeah, don't be cheap when it comes to the flight. If you can afford first class, hell, fly first class, you know. But if you can't, you know, like there was a group that was with us. They flew United to Japan. United's already a shit show as it is. Yeah. And they were like, oh man, that was the worst 14-hour flight we had. They didn't serve us dinner till like 3 hours later. I was like, wow.
I can't again.
Yeah.
Long flights. I'm like you, 6 hours. East Coast, Florida, New York, Hawaii on the west. That's about my
Yeah.
the extent of my flying anyway.
You know, my biggest fear when it comes to flying, sorry for changing the subject on this one, but
No.
my biggest fear is when someone gets up and they're walking around and they decide to stand behind or stand next to the emergency exit. It's like,
Does that freak you out?
that freaks me out all the time. It's like, dude, leave, get away from there, get away from there. It's like, what's the chances of, how do we know this guy's not psychopath and just wants to open the door and like kill half the people on that plane? It's like, sit down.
I agree. I'm a nervous flyer as it is. I mean, when I get on a plane, as soon as I pass the exit doors, I'm counting the amount of rows to my seat because I'm like, I always tell my wife, I'm like, if we crash and it's smoking, we can't see. We gotta count the amount of rows. Like, she's just like, you're ridiculous. I'm like, listen, you'll thank me later.
Yep.
If that ever happens, God forbid, does
you remember how I am at movie theaters? I got to sit in the back of a movie theater because of my little thing. I'm the same.
Throat slit.
I'm the same way when it comes to airplanes, man. I got to sit in a certain place, certain spot, and if I'm sitting next to that emergency exit, I actually say I'm fine sitting next to this emergency exit because I know my dumb ass is not going to try to open it.
Oh yeah. No.
Versus anyone else that like, I don't know who you are. I don't know if you're going to try to open this.
And you better believe if it needs to be open, I'm jumping into action.
Yep. Sir, we need to. I already got it. You don't need to tell me. I read the manual for the last 3 hours.
You're hanging outside the plane. I got it. Don't worry.
Sir, that was just turbulence. You sure? Oh, man.
I can open it again. I know how.
Have you ever had the worst turbulence experience that you thought you were going to die flying?
Yeah. I did. That one was coming back from Texas, visiting my brother in Texas a few years back. And, there was no like necessarily like a storm front or anything that we knew of. But that was the one time that I like legitimately thought, man, we might not make it. It was one of those situations where, you just drop, a few thousand feet or whatever it is. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but yeah, that was for me one of the roughest trips.
Yeah.
Rides home anyway, that I was just like, see, this is why I don't think I could do 14 hours of
flying.
Weather.
Mine was coming back from Hawaii. And the thing that sucked about this flight is I was on it. My two boys were on it. They were younger. By at that time. My dad was on it. My mom was on it. My sister, my brother-in-law, my uncle was on the flight coming home. And we were all spread apart. Me and my family were sitting together. My mom and dad was like somewhere else. And same thing, man. We were flying. We were over the ocean. That makes it even worse when you're over the ocean. And we felt that turbulence. And it was one of those, like you said, it felt like 1,000-foot drop. And that's exactly what it feels like. And if you're not a flyer and you feel that, you're like, ooh. And I'm sitting here trying to be, you're trying to be a dad. You're trying to be calm. My kids are sitting here going, wee, wee. And I'm like, shut up.
You're doing a rosary.
My hand is on it. Like, oh, God. Yeah, dude, that's the truth. I was like, God, please, my dad is on here. Let my last name move on at least. I got two of my kids on it. Man, it's, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's no joke, man, because you realize what a helpless feeling it is if something were to go wrong, that you just have no control. There's nothing you can do but just hold on. So yeah, I'm definitely with you there.
And if I'm gonna crash, man, I don't want to crash in the ocean, man. That's like, you finding my body over land is a lot better than you trying to find my shark infested, half-eaten body in the ocean. I mean, that Malaysian Air that crashed like years ago that just disappeared. I don't even think they found that yet, right?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
no,
aliens.
I hear you, because the thing with crashing in water is like, you may survive. Now what? Now I'm gonna get eaten.
Yeah.
So I think I'd rather just I mean, I'm not not pushing anything, but yeah.
No, we're not going on a trip next year. Nope. We are driving everywhere we go.
Now, if you just wanted to relax, right?
Yeah, because
for me, my location that I put for a place that I want to relax. Now that I think about it, I have two. But this one you've been to, you mentioned earlier, is Hawaii. You
Yes.
know, kind of you've been there so much. You want to try stuff new. For me, I've still only been there maybe two or three times. Each time I went to a different island, which was great. But it's not the novelty isn't lost on me yet. You know, the only problem with Hawaii, if there is a problem, is just how expensive it is.
Yes.
You know, that's the tough thing. So that leads me to the other place that I would go to, and that'd be Puerto Rico. Um, for a bunch of reasons. One, it's where my family's from, um, and price wise, it's a lot cheaper
Yeah.
than Hawaii, and but you still have that beautiful island life and the beach and the food. And one thing that I always noticed about any sort of island culture in the Philippines, same, Hawaii especially, when you visit there and they know you're visiting, the locals really seem to enjoy sharing their paradise with you. Like, like they know where they live. They know where they
Yep.
live is amazing. But it's, why don't you guys come and enjoy what we have, and let's show you what we're about. And that's what I love. I felt that in Hawaii. I felt in Puerto Rico. Again, I'm sure it's the same in the Philippines, where people just really, really friendly and roll out the red carpet for you because they know you're going to love this place and come back. At least in my experiences from the times I've gone. I don't know.
Let me ask you this: Puerto Rico, do you need a is it part of the United States? Do you need a passport to go in there?
No, just regular driver's license or ID,
Nice.
which is another great thing about it. You still do have to go through customs,
Yeah.
but the airports in Puerto Rico, there's only two major airports, and they're pretty small. Like you're not, it's not one of those deals where you're going to be stuck in the airport all day, anything like that. And for me, my family, my dad's family, I should say, they live in the southwestern most tip of Puerto Rico, and it's
Okay.
one of my favorite places to go to. It's called Cabo Rojo or Cabo Rojo.
Cabo
Um,
Rojo.
it's it's probably, I guess you could say, that's where people in Puerto Rico go to get away. Right.
Okay.
Most people, they go to Puerto Rico, they go to San Juan. That's the capital. That's where all the resorts are, big tourist area. That's where all the cruises stop if they're going to stop in Puerto Rico. And it's, cool place. That's where the pina colada was invented.
Nice.
They have the plaque in front of the place where it was actually, invented and stuff. So all that is great. But usually when I was a kid, we would go maybe every summer, every other summer. And, we would start out there. My dad would take us to the resorts, and then we'd do the road trip to the other side of the island. Not that big of a road trip. I think like 3 hour drive to get
Okay.
from one end to the other, small island. But when we get there, I mean, it's amazing. It's country, you know, little
Yep.
small towns, little shanty cities and stuff. But there's this one place in particular. It's called Playa Sucia, or Dirty Beach, and we spoke about this in the Woken Up Woke podcast. And this area is literally where my family comes from. There's a little kind of inlet bay thing, and there's a lighthouse that overlooks it. And that lighthouse is where my great grandfather worked in the Coast Guard. My grandfather worked there, met my grandmother there.
Wow.
Yeah, they had a house a few feet away from the lighthouse, and that's literally where they raised all their kids and grandkids. My dad, he was there when he was a baby, and it was really cool. Like my dad has tons of stories he could tell about this, but one of the cool ones was my my great grandfather. He was a he worked in the Coast Guard during the Prohibition, and he was really cool with the mayor and all the higher ups. So he was actually smuggling
Wow.
alcohol. So he, everyone loved him in the town, obviously, and he was really strict. So he wouldn't let his daughters go to the town. So what he would do is have these parties and invite everybody to their
Oh,
house,
wow.
and that way he can keep an eye on everyone. But he should have been keeping an eye on the kid that worked for him, which was my grandfather, because he ended up hooking up with my grandmother and getting married, and the rest is history. So that for me, I love going there, and I mean, I could go to Puerto Rico and just go there and spend the whole time there and be happy. Like that for me is one of my favorite places in the world.
Now let me ask you this: for someone who's never been to Puerto Rico, like myself, if the people listening right now, if they say, "Hey Joe, I want to go to Puerto Rico. I have 2 weeks." What's the first thing, or what's the first thing you would tell them to do when they get there? Like with the places to visit, the places to eat. What would you tell them?
I would for sure say start with San Juan. I would go to specifically Old San Juan, and that's where you have the fort. Which is a kind of a landmark there, and it's, I mean, I don't know how far it goes dates back, but I mean they have like cannons and stuff, and you can actually go out to the ports and see what they saw, like the horizon, the different areas where ships would come in. That's really cool, and just the history in that town and the food there. Like I said, they have the place where the pina colada was invented.
Nice.
That's where all the cruise ships dock. There's tons of beaches there, and there's this strip in San Juan, and I think the area is called Isla Verde, and it's a strip of just hotels and restaurants.
Okay.
And I mean, to be honest with you, I would just let your nose guide you, because everything's good. Like you ask for recommendations, and people look at you like, I don't know, just go there. Like you can't go wrong. And another thing I would say is, definitely, because the island is small, and if you're there for 2 weeks and if you rented a car, I would make my way across the island.
Okay.
Just there's the northwest part of the island is a place called Arecibo. That's where my grandmother was born, and they have and I think they have one in Hawaii. They have this telescope, and I believe it's the biggest telescope in the world. They've done X-Files episodes there, and there's some really beautiful beaches near there. One of which I believe is Oaxaca, where my brother went for his what do you call that, honeymoon.
Nice.
So those two places for sure I would go to, and just try to experience as much food and beaches as you can.
Okay. And they speak English there, so it's
a lot of people. Yeah.
So it's not hard to get to. Okay. It's on my list.
It's taught in schools.
That's going to be on my list. I mean, the good thing is you don't need a passport. You don't need any of that, which is, sometimes even going across north to Canada is kind of like a hard thing to do, because, you need a passport to go to Canada, even to Mexico. So, that's definitely going to be on my list that I want to check out. And don't get me wrong when I talk about Hawaii. It's not that I don't like going to Hawaii, but I always go to the same island. We always do the same thing. I think the next time we go, I want to venture out. Maybe want to try Maui, maybe try some of the smaller islands to try to get that. When I go to Hawaii, I go there. I don't tell anyone I'm there. Like the people that I know there, I don't tell them that I'm there, because they're going to say, hey, come over for dinner. Okay, I'm going to come over for dinner. Now it's kind of like taking into my vacation time, which is not, I'm not saying that's not something I don't want to do, but it's just like, I'm here on vacation. I kind of don't want to, so I don't really post anything till like the last day that I'm there. So it was like, hey dude, you're here. Why don't you come for dinner? Like, oh dude, I got to pack tonight, man. Sorry. Yeah. But it's still cool. I mean, the island of Oahu is a cool place to visit, but it's just so jam packed. There's so many people. If you go to stay in Waikiki, I'd still recommend people staying in Waikiki, but get a car and go up north. Go check out Haleiwa, check out like EA, where they have the famous Giovanni shrimp trucks over there. Go check those places out, just because it's there it's kind of like old school Hawaii, where, like you said, valleys, you see the country, you see the mountain ranges. Cool spot. I mean, when I go there, I'm just like, wow, this is God's country. I still call it God's country, but I definitely want to check out the other islands, because I've never been to the other islands, and I want to see what it's like. I want to go to the Big Island. I want to go check out the Big Island, go check out all that. But yeah, I mean, I love going to Hawaii. It's just everybody goes there.
Yeah, no.
Everybody goes there.
I totally agree. I went for we actually went February of last year, just before the pandemic. That was my last vacation.
Wow.
And we eked it out. That was lucky that we went. And the first time I had gone, we went to a town called Kona. Is that right?
Yeah.
Kona. And is that Big Island?
Big Island. Yeah.
Right. So
Kona
we went
coffee.
There. Right. and we which was great, but we pretty much spent most of the time at the resort. This time, the second time we got to go to Oahu, which was amazing. We got to see the Disney resort in Aulani, which was pretty cool.
But so your wife's a big Disney fan.
Yeah, she is. So we had to go there and kind of do the tour, and then but the part I really enjoyed was we halfway in the trip we went over to Kauai.
Nice.
Which was beautiful. Like when I know what you mean when you say God's country, because you can't help but feel like this is what it looked like 300 years ago. Like not much has changed, maybe some roads and cars. So and oh man, it was just such a beautiful place, relaxing, and just, man, I can't wait to go back.
What kills me about Hawaii is everyone that goes there, like they spend a week, they spend 2 weeks, they come back and they're like, "Hey, bro, I've been to Hawaii already, bro. How many times you gonna go?" Like, dude, you're there for a week. How'd you get the accent already? Bro, the hotel I stay at, that's all they speak to me was pidgin. So I pick it up. I was like, dude, you picked it up in a week? That's pretty good, man. That's pretty
quick
good.
Assimilation.
That's pretty good, man. I mean, it's good because like you can go there, and if they see me there, tattoos, brown skin, I walk into a store and I go, "Hey, bro, what's the Kamaina discount here?" And they're like, "Oh, bro, where you from?" It's like, "Oh, bro, I stay in Moilili." Like, "All right, we give you 15%, bro." Like, cool, bro, cool. So. It got some hits and hits and misses. Yeah. The one lady we went to, I don't know if you guys went. We went to the Dole Plantation, and I asked her how much. I asked her how much it was to go to. There's a maze. There's a big pineapple maze there, right? So I asked her how much it was to go, and she's like, "He goes, you come, Aina?" I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "What's your ID?" I was like, "Oh, sis, come on, sis." I go, I leave all the stuff in the car. We don't bring stuff. It was a test. She was testing us. She was like, "Bro, I give you $10 a person." I think it was like $15 or $20 a person. So she gave it to us for $10 a person. I was like, "Oh, sis, I'm gonna go buy some pineapple ice cream. You want some?" She goes, "Just give me the pineapple smoothie because it's hot in here." I was like, "All right." So for $10 a person, it's like, I was like, all right. Yeah. That's the good thing. That's the good thing, For you guys who are listening, I did live in Hawaii for a while. I never state that I'm Hawaiian. Some people, like I said, they're in Hawaii for 2 weeks and they come back and they're like, "Oh, bro, I feel the Hawaiian in me already, bro." It's like, dude, in 2 weeks, you feel Hawaiian. Relax. I lived in Hawaii. I'm a Filipino that lived in Hawaii from the Bay Area. I never say I'm Hawaiian. So, you don't even see me throwing the shakas around and like, "Oh, bro, we go throw shakas everywhere." You guys that go, that's the one thing that kills me about Hawaii is that everybody comes back and all of a sudden they're Hawaiian.
Yeah.
There's a joke in Hawaii. There's a little town in Oahu, and it's called Wannabe. It's called Wannabe. And it's like, "Wannabe? I never heard of this." He goes, "Yeah, because you're not from there. Everybody from Wannabe is people who comes back and they want to be Hawaiian." I was like, I want to be Hawaiian. All right.
That's like...
Man. But, for me to relax, it's funny. I'm going to say this. This is going to reflect my age. You guys are going to see how old I really am. I want to own an RV.
Oh, nice.
I want to own an RV. I want to check out parts of the United States through the eyes of an RV. And the first place that I want to check out that I've never been to is the Grand Canyon. I want to check out the Grand Canyon. I want to drive down there. I want to drive down to Sedona, check out, Sedona, Arizona, check out that place, all in an RV. Head down to Tombstone. I'm a big historian buff when it comes to the Cowboys. So I definitely want to check out Tombstone, check out what Tombstone's about, pay my respects to the people that passed away in Tombstone. And I want to end the RV trip all on the West Coast in 2 different places. I want to end it in Yellowstone. That's one place I might want to end it, but the
beautiful
other place that I really want to end it is Roswell.
Oh yeah,
I want to end it in Roswell. Yeah. And to me, I wrote that in my list. These are the areas that I want to visit. These are my relaxing list, and I like to drive. I love driving. I drive pretty much wherever I have to. If we could drive to Hawaii, I'm driving to Hawaii. I don't care how long it's going to take. We're driving to Hawaii. But yeah, man, I want to get an RV. I want to get enough for, me and the family, drive from point A to point B. Don't need a hotel. You just got to find an RV camp and then, you're good to go, right?
just be careful in Roswell. Don't go down any roads you're not supposed to. You might end up having some men in black
That's what I'm
pulling
hoping
you over.
for.
Like, what are you guys doing here?
Don't ruin my secret, Joe. That's exactly what I'm.
But look, we're the FBI. We listened to your podcast. We knew you were coming here. Like, what?
I just do the whole
2 followers.
I do the whole Hawaiian accent on them. Hey, bro, I don't know what you talk about, bro. They told me turn left over here, and they said turn left on the right side, bro. I was like, what you talking about, bro? I'm from the islands, bro. Which island are you from? Las Vegas.
Treasure Island.
Treasure Island. No, man. Yeah, I mean, these are places that it's like besides the places that I've been to, Japan, Disneyland. I've been to Arizona. I just drove by Arizona. I never really stopped by Arizona. These are places that I want to visit. I just want to, hey, I want to say that I've been there. And Sedona is not a place that you can just take a plane, go to Sedona, hang out. I want to actually experience, what people when they go to Sedona, they're like, man, it's a life-changing experience. There's something about the crystals and the rocks that makes everybody feel different. So that's why I kind of want to. That's why I want to go. I want to go check that out. And then everything else is just history. Grand Canyon, Yellowstone, Roswell.
No, I hear you, and that's actually a perfect segue into one of my favorite trips that I've ever been on. And I don't know that I'll ever get the opportunity to go back, so that makes it even better. But one of my favorite trips was to the Grand Canyon, but specifically Supai, Arizona, which is a Indian reservation. It's actually Havasupai Indian Reservation, which is at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. It's not a part of the parks. I think I saw on Wikipedia there's like 208 people. It was
wow.
Like the population. My brother-in-law, shout out to Marlon. He's a traveling nurse. And he loves to hike, and part of his bucket list is going to all the national parks and going hiking. And the hiking here at Havasu or Havasupai, excuse me, that's the tribe. I'm sorry, I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to offend anybody. The hiking there is some of the most beautiful hiking in the world, and because of that, it's really hard to get a permit to go there. So he'd been trying for years. So he said, screw it. You know what? I'm just going to work there.
Yeah.
Why not? He had worked on a reservation before in New Mexico. So he kind of knows the culture, and he looks native as it is. He's like a modern day hippie. You know what I mean? He's just flies by the seat of his pants, travels, doesn't really have a care in the world. Great guy, by the way.
He is. I just met him. Good guy.
Yeah. And so we had planned to go visit him. He's like, look, he was there for, I want to say maybe about a year or two. And because he was there, the main nurse, really the only nurse, even most times there isn't even a doctor there, it's just him. They loved him there. So, he was able to have visitors come and without needing any sort of pass or anything like that. And when I tell you, this was freaking amazing.
I believe you.
There's a couple ways you can get to the bottom. You can do the hike, which is a 10-mile hike, and it's not bad. Or you can take a helicopter.
Wow.
Yeah, so we opted for the helicopter because we were like, yeah, we're not doing the 10-mile hike. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't 100% sure. Again, I'm afraid of heights. But yeah. I said, bucket list, gotta try it.
Exactly.
You get there early, you write your name down on the list, and obviously the natives have priority. So once they're done bringing down all their supplies and everything, then they start calling people off the list. And yeah, so we finally, after about a few hours of waiting up there, got into the helicopter. And I mean, I'm sitting there like I'm literally taking a helicopter to the bottom of the Grand Canyon.
Wow,
it was amazing. And what also made the trip great was that was where I proposed to my wife. Because I figured, when else am I going to get a chance like this?
Exactly.
When else am I going to be here? So I was, sending messages to my brother-in-law like, hey, do you think this is a good idea? He's like, I love it. I was like, all right, I'm counting on you to find the spot because I don't know. I'm just going off of pictures. And for those of you wondering, if you remember a few years back after the Lion King movie, the remake, Beyonce She was on TMZ, and she had gone with her daughter via helicopter to this beautiful waterfall to take pictures and stuff. That
That was
was
it.
actually, yeah, that was actually Havasu Falls.
Nice.
So, I guess it doesn't matter if you're Beyonce, you don't need a pass and you can just go whenever, right?
Yeah.
I was assuming, okay, that's where it's going to be. I had seen the falls online, beautiful, beautiful place. And he's like, no, 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 we're not going to do there. So we go on this hike. I don't know. I don't know how long of a hike it is. I think the full length of the thing is like maybe like 16 miles or something if you go
Wow.
one way and come back, something like that. And we get to this. You have to climb down this sort of like mountain and go through this hike. It's really gnarly, really sketchy. There's one point where you're holding on to chains and just kind of going at. The only thing that kept me going was that my 69-year-old mother-in-law was in front of me
She was beating you.
and she was going. I was like, I can't turn back now. Like there was a point where there's a little cave and there's like you don't see anything anymore and everybody's just kind of going down and you're like, where's everyone going? And they're turning around facing the wall and climbing down. And I look, my wife is behind me and I'm like, well, it wasn't my wife at the time, but I'm like, you won't turn back? She's like, yeah, we can just go, right? I'm like, yeah, I mean, there's not enough people behind us, so we could probably make it back. But then her mom was just like, all right, let's go. So all right, I'm gonna go. And eventually we get to this one area called 50-foot Falls, and this is an area where um, outsiders aren't allowed. When you go, if you visit there and you go hiking, then you go to the campgrounds. They're very strict as far as where you can and can't go. Being that I was with my brother-in-law and they loved him to death, he pretty much had free range. There was very few places he couldn't go. This was one that he could, and
Wow.
he gave me the nod. And I mean, I have the ring. I'm hiding the ring in my hand. I'm sorry, in my pocket. We get to this part where we have to kind of go into underwater. I'm like, where the fuck is he taking us? So I'm like, now I got to take my shirt off. I'm hiding the ring in the shirt. My wife's looking at me strange because I never take my shirt off in public. So that should have been the giveaway. And then we finally make it to this beautiful, beautiful waterfall. And I got down I proposed to her. She was absolutely, I figured she knew at this point. I was like, there's no way we kept it, quiet, but she was legitimately surprised. Like she screamed, in excitement. So for me, hands down, it's one of the best places, if not the best places
Nice.
I've had, trips that I've had, I should say.
I'm looking at pictures right now, man. I'm pretty sure this is not where you were, but just the pictures that I'm looking at, I'm like, wow, this is nice. This is a nice spot, man. Yeah, and I did see the proposal picture when you posted that, and I was just like, God, where did I'm thinking Joe just went somewhere down California, and and then when you told me the story, I'm like, wow. When I told you I'm a big historian guy and I love history, man, Native Americans is probably the least historical facts that I know because I don't know anyone that I can ask and any of this. So when I hear things like where you went, while everyone's going to be oohing awing over the falls, I'll probably be like, hey, what happened during this time? I'd be like asking them all these questions like, what makes you different from Navajos? What makes you different from Apaches? What do you guys like to do different that they, that's just me. That's just, a kid who grew up watching a lot of cowboy movies, and Native Americans always the bad guys in these stories.
Right.
But when I saw, what was it, Dances with Wolves?
Mm-hmm.
You see a different part of the Native Americans now. They're like, So when you went there, man, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah,
That's a cool.
it was a great experience, and the people there were so freaking amazing. When we finished the hike, they knew that I was proposing, and they were cool with it because that was the other thing too. I was like, "Look, is this okay? I don't want to offend anyone.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is like a holy place." Like,
Yeah.
and they were like, "No, they thought it was a great idea." And when we came back from the hike, some of the natives actually baked us a cake,
Wow.
congratulating us. Yeah, I mean, beautiful, beautiful people, man, and just it's so cool. They fun fact, it's the only place left in the United States that still gets mail delivered by mule.
Wow.
Which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Just because they got to go down that hike.
Down. Right, right. And you can hike down with all your stuff, or you can pay extra and have your stuff brought down by mule. So then that way you can just, hike with what you need and not carrying too much stuff.
And this is in Arizona, right? Or you said it was in Arizona?
Yeah.
Man, yeah.
Supai, Arizona. Yeah. I want to say the if you wanted to go, if someone wanted to try to go, you probably can go on like the national parks website or something like that. But I believe the permits go on sale like in June.
Oh
But
wow.
it's kind of like Comic-Con, like it sells out instantly. So you got to be on there and know when it's going to go on sale. So
And it's funny
you
because you're probably thinking, oh, not a lot of people's going to want a permit for this. Who wants it? Is be surprised. Everybody wants a permit for this, especially if it's a place that's hard to get to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's the one good thing about, the one thing that I have to mention. You mentioned, their culture is different than our culture. You had to make sure that it was okay for you to propose on their land. And that's another thing. Like when I went to Japan, there was a lot of things that I couldn't do because I have tattoos.
Really?
There was there was these bathhouses that a lot of people want to go to, and it's just a bathhouse. You just go there, you relax. It's a steam bath. There's a different side for men and women, but it's called an onsen. I think it's called an onsen. I couldn't go because I have tattoos. They had an onsen on the ship, on the Japanese cruise ship, and I wanted to look just to see what it looked like. I didn't want to do it, but they said I couldn't because I have tattoos. So there's certain parts of Japan. I think there's certain parts of the world where tattoos are frowned upon. Even with the day and age that we're in now, it's like you can't really go anywhere. So half the time that I was in Japan, I had my arm covered. It's October. It's still hot out there, but I had my arm covered because I didn't want the wrong person to look at my hand and say, hey, this is Yakuza territory. And I'm like, oh shit,
Yeah. I mean, did you get like an explanation as to why it is, or is it just, tattoos are kind of associated with like the underworld?
Exactly what it is. Yeah. Okay. Exactly what it is. Tattoos are associated with Yakuza. Even if my tattoo just said, I love mom on my wrist or my arm, it's something that small. It's still associated with Yakuza. So they don't want, I don't want to say Yakuza in general, but just that gangster life, they don't want that. And onsen, again, it's just one of those places where people just go and relax and, you just have a nice steam bath. But it's different. It's different, I guess, everywhere you go,
Yeah. But I mean, for me, that's part of the fun of traveling is just being completely open-minded and learning about other cultures, because you think you know stuff. I mean, I thought I knew San Francisco and I came here and I knew nothing about the Bay Area. It's not hot ever. There's no palm trees. There's no surfers.
Yeah, palm trees. What are you talking about?
If I go somewhere, especially for the first time, I really want to just be open to what it is they're about, absorb what it is they're about, because I feel like that's when you have the best time on vacation, when you feel like you're a local. Like, don't get me wrong, doing the touristy stuff, like I said, going to Italy and going to see the big sites and things, that's great. But I would also love to go to some hole in the wall and get some food, it doesn't have a line outside or anything like that. To me, those are the gems when you go on vacation.
That's a good thing about YouTube, right? It's like when I went to Japan, exactly what you just said. I didn't want to go where everyone else was going. So I went on YouTube and I looked at places in Japan that were just hole in the wall. And of course, after one person watches it, now everyone wants to try it, but it was still a good place to try. And I want to say maybe about 10 or 15 that I watched, we probably got to go to like 3 of them. And they were, they turned out a lot better than, it's like, it's not your normal sushi place. Everything there, like, when they say you got to take your shoes off when you go to Japan, some places you do, some places you don't. Really depends. When we went to a place called Akita was an old samurai town. And when we went on that tour, you're talking about the houses where you have to take your slippers off. And these houses aren't for sale. They're passed down from generations to generations. So no matter what, this house is going to stay within that samurai warrior's family, right? And if that person doesn't have kids, then it goes to the brother. I mean, it just stays within that family. Right. And when I heard that history, I was like, wow, like in America, this is already being sold for like $700,000, all this stuff. But just thinking about, like, the one guy told me this history, like, you see that mountain range right over there? He's like pointing at these mountain ranges. I'm like, yeah. He goes, and he was telling me, like, in 18 something, while the samurais were in here sleeping, and he was trying to say the word ninja, but he was saying it so thick I couldn't understand what he was saying. He's like, the ninja was coming down the mountains, and the samurais were sleeping, and this is when that's the worst one-day massacre this town had, because the ninja came and destroyed, he goes, the samurais, but they didn't know that the warriors were actually out on a scouting mission. So the people they killed were like the fathers, the uncles, the ones who couldn't be part of battle. He goes, so that's how the ninja and the samurais became enemies. And I'm thinking to myself,
that's amazing.
Fuck, there was ninjas here? You know, wow.
Yeah.
That's something you see on TV, right? So yeah, man, just the history part, man. And the one thing I'll tell everybody right now, if you go on vacation, don't be stupid when you go to the places that you go to, man. You know, respect the place that you go to, respect the history that it had. Places that's been there and survived there forever because of people respecting the history. I just heard 4 or 5 years ago, they had to put a barricade around Stonehenge because people were going there trying to touch the rock, and there were, you know, so it's like, come on, man. It survived for a long time for a reason. So now we can't even go up close and see it. You gotta, you know, see it from a distance.
Yeah.
But that's another bucket list I want to go to, man. I didn't mention Europe, but yeah, I want to go to Stonehenge. I want to go check out the Eiffel Tower. I want to check out all that Big Ben. You know, not Big Ben in Pittsburgh, but Big Ben in a.
Yeah, no, I agree totally. Stonehenge is like that. It's up there on my bucket list. I'm like you. I'm a bit of a history buff, especially with World War II, specifically World War II. And I know it sounds weird, but like I would love to go to Germany, Austria.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful country, and again, just the history there. I mean, I know some of it's dark, but it is what it is. That's history. So that for sure is also on my bucket list.
Yes. I mean, when I used to do my vlogs and I used to go to these World War II bunkers over here, you know, before I actually start my vlog, I would, you know, take that moment and just, you know, pay a little respect to the people that was here before me. You know, I don't know if people died there because of the war, but it's cool to have. It's cool to have. And when I said Arizona, there's a lot of things in Arizona that I just want to check out, you know, like from Tombstone to, you know, the Battle of Tombstone to just checking out some old cowboy country, because, you know, that's where it all started. You know, it's like, you know, when I go to Reno, I go to Virginia City. We go to Virginia City, right? And Virginia City is probably the closest place you could go to within the Bay Area where it still has that rich cowboy history. So it's cool. I found out it was a Trump area the last time I went, but still not going to stop me from going next time. So
yeah, no, Virginia City is really fun. We went. I think you might have been the one that told me about it.
You told me. Yeah, you told me.
Did I tell you about it? Oh, okay.
No, we were there. Then you told me to go visit the school.
Right, the scary ass school.
The scary school. And the funny thing was, we went in last July. It's a funny story. We went last July. We parked at the beginning part of Virginia City because I said, "Oh, there's parking. Let's just go walk around." Right. And I was like, "Oh, Joe said there's a school at the end of the block." I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, "It's not that far." It was far. It was a long walk. And when we got there, shit was closed. Oh. There was this big sign, due to COVID-19, you know, we have to shut down this. I was like, we could have drove here just to see this, you know? But
yeah, it's pretty creepy inside.
We're planning to go again in July, you know, hopefully with the way things are going right now, some restrictions will be lifted. You know, I kind of miss buffets.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I'm hoping by July, we might go by Virginia City again. You know, there's a brothel there that I want to go check out. We did go check out, but the next tour was kind of like an hour, so we're like, I'll just come back later on. But I definitely want to check it out, man. Cool history.
And I want to say there's a casino there. It's like the Blood Bucket Saloon or something like that. It's really big. Did they really?
Yeah, because I was like, that's the first thing I was telling my kids. I was like, dude, there's a suicide table here. You know, a guy was gambling so much, and when he lost, he committed suicide. So it's called a suicide table. And I was like, where is it? Where is it? Then like we saw this one that was like kind of closed up, and I saw where it said suicide table. I'm like, oh look, here it is right here. So I don't know if it was closed because of COVID or they just, you know. But again, I'm hoping once this pandemic is over, once we all are vaccinated, we can get some kind of normality, some kind of, some kind of normal situation.
I would actually like to go back, and this was actually an old coworker of ours. I don't know if you remember him, but Joe Walker, shout out to him. He was the one that,
Yes.
now I remember, first one to tell me about Virginia City, and he said that um, Fourth of July is probably the best time to go there. They have this big celebration, and it's kind of like, I guess, how Fourth of July would have been back in those
Back then.
days. And he's like,
Nice.
there's people in the street, celebration, music and fireworks and all that stuff. So, and then just the whole, everyone in the town is dressed from that town period, and
Wow.
they really kind of, play out the old days in the old west. So I'm like, that's something that's on the bucket list for sure.
Nice. The only thing that kind of threw me off about Virginia City, and I'm not trying to get political, but they were flying their Trump flags galore. I mean, it was like, make America great again. But then I was telling my kids, you can't be mad at them right now because they still need us to help them support their business.
Mm-hmm.
And my kids didn't realize, like, without us here, we're not going to go buy their souvenirs. We're not going to go buy their food. That's why they're trying to be really nice to us. Even though it says make America great again, they want us to support their business. And it's up to you. It's like, hey, if it's 100 degrees here and this is the only place that's selling water, guess what? We're going to buy water.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's just how it is.
It is what it is.
Trump's not here to piss me off. So, I'm going to do that. But yeah, man. One thing I also want to add before we end this podcast, definitely check out a cruise. If you guys haven't been on a cruise, we went on a cruise in Japan, and we went around the whole Japan, 12-day cruise around Japan. And it was the most amazing thing that I've ever experienced in my life, just because you got to see parts of Japan you never got to see. And plus, to be on a cruise ship, it's kind of a vacation. Cruise ship is a city of its own.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you ever been on one.
I have not.
Yes.
I want to, though. Everyone that tells me about it, I haven't heard anything bad.
Once everything gets situated, that cruise ship, that the one in Japan that we went with, that was one of the first ones that had the really bad COVID situations. That was one of the first ones, called the Diamond Princess in Japan. But, once everything is cleaned up and everything's back to normal, I think we can get back to some normality. There's one cruise I want to take, and I suggest maybe you look into this. It's an Alaskan cruise that leaves out of the port of San Francisco, that takes us up to Vancouver and then Alaska. Or is it, Vancouver, then Alaska. And I heard that was an amazing.
Yeah, my wife, and she, years ago, before we were together, she went on that cruise with her family. And she still talks about that. That's something that she's like, oh, I want to go back.
Yeah, I mean,
like, we got to go back.
I mean, I don't have to fly 14 hours to go on this cruise. I can just drive down to the pier, get on the cruise. 12 days later, I'm back. I'm like, I mean, I definitely want to do that again. And that's definitely something on the bucket list moving forward for vacations.
And real quickly, before you get out of here, I want to shout you out and the Eric B. Daily Vlogs, because if you're someone if you're not from here and you're planning on visiting San Francisco, Bay Area, check out Eric's vlog. He has so many cool tidbits. Like we were saying, if you want to go to places that you're not going to find online that are all the tourists are going to go to, he's got a lot of cool gems, and plus great information on the bigger places. Some tips that might help you out so you don't get stuck online something like that. So yeah, Eric B. Daily Vlogs, man. I don't know if I've ever told you, but I really do appreciate that. It's really good stuff, and there's a lot of videos, so there's a lot of content to go to sift through.
I'm touched. Thank you. I apologize for the ones who do watch. Linda Spalding, who she's probably one of my followers that follows on a daily. She just commented the other day, like, God, you're already at 800. I'm still watching your 500 vlogs. but it's kind of slowed down a little bit because of the podcast, and I'm enjoying the podcast a little bit more. But yes, once the weather is better, I do have some things in mind that I'm already gonna incorporate the podcast and the vlogs with. I don't know if it's gonna be the same or separate, but right now, the vlog is just the podcast and a vlog mixed together, because that's the easiest way for me. But once the vlog comes out, man, there's going to be more. There's a lot of things happened in the past year that you'll be surprised. There's a lot of closures, San Francisco closures, a lot of places that I haven't touched on. But once that is back to normal, it's daylight savings too, so it's kind of hard,
Oh yeah.
I get off work at 5 something, and the sun's halfway down, so there's not a lot of good lighting. So once daylight savings is gone, then you'll see a little more daily vlogs coming back to normal. Cool.
Can't wait.
Cool, man. This was fun, man. I definitely got a lot out of this, man. I picked your brains before about Puerto Rico, but now it really sold me on wanting to go to Puerto Rico. It's a big thing that I don't need a passport, which is cool. And I know the people there are friendly, so I don't even have to worry about that. Cuba, I'm a little hesitant,
Yeah, that's maybe a little further down the line.
Yeah, further down the line, you go first. Tell me if you survive. Ro, how was your experience in Cuba? I know you didn't get to take any videos or post anything while you were there. That's going to be the big downfall for me, is not being able to post or see what's going on social media. Even though we don't like social media, man, we rely on social media for our news, which is stupid, but we do.
Yep. New wave,
Yeah, but this is definitely cool. And if there's something that we missed that you guys want to share with us, places that you think we should go to and we could try out, it has to have the 3 elements. It has to have food, it has to have some kind of fun, and less than 14 hours away. Less than 14, yeah, that should have been number 1. That should be number 1. But if it has any of that, man, leave us a comment. Let us know where you guys think we should go next, right? That'd be cool.
Yeah, let us know, because I'm writing down a list.
Joe got me on a book, and Joe got me on a list, so that's what I've been doing. I've been writing things down. Next week's podcast, we're going to go a day early. Instead of posting something on a Sunday, we're going to go on a Saturday because it's Super Bowl Sunday next week. So we're going to do a little special Super Bowl edition, maybe talk about, greatest quarterbacks that played in the Super Bowl. What was the most boring Super Bowl? What was the best exciting Super Bowl? And we can't be biased. Can't say Giants and Phil Sims.
Yeah.
Phil Sims when he beat the Niners. Lawrence Taylor and his 7 sacks in Super Bowl. You can't do that, man. We're going to talk about everything, when it comes to football, and maybe how we celebrate Super Bowl parties and what's involved for the Super Bowl party. So that's for next week. We're going to be, again, a day early for that. But until next week, it's been fun. Thanks everyone for listening.
Thanks for joining us.
We are the Ordinary Joes.
Peace.
See ya.
Ordinary Joe's Podcast.